Good morning, Tallahassee. It's time to wake up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi and Corey Clark.
What is up? We made it to the end of the week. Week 2 of the preseason in the books. It's Wake Up War Chant. I'm Aslan, joined by Corey Clark. Corey, how are you, friend? I missed you yesterday.
I know you did, man. I'm sure Ira, I didn't listen to it. I'm sure Ira did a fine job, a yeoman's effort from him. But obviously, now that you got the superstar back, people are going to be excited. But doing well. I missed it. I missed being with you yesterday.
Awesome, bud. Well, check it out. You missed some news. Let's get right to it, I guess. First off, you want to start with some baseball news. It looks like the pitching coach has been named. Clyde Keller, the assistant coach, or volunteer assistant rather, has been promoted or elevated to a full-time pitching coach. So there's your baseball news for the offseason, folks. Your hot stove or your air conditioning stove or nothing.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah,
well, there you go. That's good for him, man. Good for Clyde.
Right on.
He's got some arms to work with. Let's just say that.
There we go. Otherwise, the news coming from IMG was Trey Lawson, sophomore or redshirt freshman, defensive lineman, no longer with the program. He did not travel with the team to IMG, and then told Ira that he didn't travel. Ira followed up with, is he with the program, and Willie followed with, he is no longer with the program. So attrition strikes once again in the offseason, but I think Florida State should be able to overcome that loss.
Yeah. I mean, hey, man, no offense to Trey Lawson. He didn't strike me as anyone that could contribute anytime soon. Very, very, slender. He made Brian Burns look like Timmy Jernigan. Just a really skinny kid that it would have been hard to imagine him doing much this year anyway. And yeah, man, I guess he's the first of the Taggart era, or I guess the offensive lineman was the first of the Taggart era. So this is number 2, and there will be many more because that's how college football teams work.
Josh Ball, that doesn't really count though, because that was something that happened before he even arrived on campus. I know you were just kind of being tongue in cheek, but
it was his decision though. He could have said no. Josh Ball's a part of this team.
No, he's suspended from the university for an entire year.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sure.
There we go. Hey, I was right for once.
You got it right, man. Enjoy it.
I will. All right, man. Let's just get right to it, shall we? I guess there's really nothing for us to update from practice on Thursday. They will practice later today when they arrive back in Tallahassee. Scrimmage will be Saturday, but we only were able to view 3 periods on Thursday, which is the equivalent of 15 real-time minutes. Wasn't a lot to see. I guess Ira pointed out in the update thread that the more noticeable absences in terms of not being with the team and doing individual workouts but being on the side were, I think he said, Marvin Wilson and Kalen LeBourne both did not participate, at least in the 15 minutes of practice that we were watching on Thursday. So I don't know. It feels like Marvin's kind of touch and go. Kalen, that's a little bit of a new development. Would stink not to not have him, but it's obviously a position where they're flush with talent. But very curious and anxious to see how Kalen looks under the lights when the pads are popping against a real opponent, not spring.
Now, was he could you see him at practice? He was just off to the side, or he wasn't out there at all?
Yeah, that was my understanding, and what I saw from Ira was that they were not participating. So I'm sure he obviously saw them off to the side. So not to put words in his mouth, but that's what I'm assuming. So.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Well, yeah. You hope it's just something minor, maybe just a little tweak or something, and he'll be good to go next week.
And Cole Minshew, I guess that ankle of his that he had surgery on earlier in his career is kind of given him a couple problems, but Willie didn't seem overly concerned about his availability for the opener. I kind of framed the question in terms of will he be ready for the opener, and Willie seemed like that shouldn't be a problem. But Cole Minshew, your projected starting right guard, has not been with the team practicing, or at least he was with the team on Monday on the bike in Bradenton, but Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday we didn't even see him out there. So, but yeah, back to the thread. Ira did say that Marvin Wilson and Kalen LeBourne were 2 notable guys rehabbing today. So there you go, right from the horse's mouth, the legend. All right, without further ado then, Corey, we did Renegade Express, and boy, oh boy, do we have plenty of questions and comments. Let's try to get to all of them, shall we? You ready?
Yeah, let's do it, buddy. Let's do it. I'm fired up about this. Been thinking all week about it, folks.
I don't believe you. I do not believe you at all. I wanted to pull up my Twitter, but why is my Twitter asking me to sign in and log in? I don't want to log in. Two things that came in over Twitter. One person said that the Hooties were different. The Hootie who was the Florida State athletic director when Bobby was potentially flirting with Alabama,
right.
is not the guy.
That was Hootie Ingram, I think. And then I think the Augusta one might have been Hootie Johnson.
I think you're right as well. Yeah.
I'll look it up.
No, I'm pulling it up right now. Just what? I don't want to create an account Twitter. I already have a Twitter. Why won't you let me log in? This is being so stupid. I'm sorry, but this is terrible radio, but we're going to get better, I promise. Also, somebody mentioned that if...
Yeah, it was Hootie Johnson.
Somebody mentioned as well that if Bobby had left for Alabama, the most likely replacement for him was actually going to be Howard Schnellenberger.
Wow.
I don't know how legit that is. Yeah, that came from a guy who sounds legit. He's wearing a garnet blazer in his profile photo. So if you own a garnet blazer, you're legit. At least in my eyes.
Yeah, man, that would have been something, huh? Because Schnellenberger did a very fine job at Miami, but then didn't do a whole lot of great things after that. I know he had a nice couple little years at Louisville, but I think it worked out perfectly for the Seminoles that they kept bound and did not go down the Schnellenberger train.
Schnellenberger? What's wrong with the Schnellenberger train, man? Big fluffy mustache.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, man, good-looking guy. I love the mustache, but yeah, I don't. He didn't seem to be all that invested after he left Miami.
Gotcha. Okay, let's get to the Renegade Express. We're going to break this up over a few segments too, Corey, just because of the technology that we're using. It's more favorable to do such course of action. Anyhow, let's get to it. Running Knoll starts us off with Aslan! Corey! Ira! Wake up! 3 exclamation marks. Great coverage of fall camp by warchant.com. Greatly appreciated, gentlemen. Aslan, drop whatever you are doing and go watch Remember the Titans, one of the greatest movies ever made. All right, so that's a wrap on the show.
I might slow my roll a little bit on that.
All right, well, we're done. I'm dropping it.
One of the greatest football movies ever made. But I wouldn't say it's one of the great movies ever. It's to me, just my real quick critical opinion of it. It's a little too Disney-fied for me.
Okay.
Like, it didn't want to get too much into the race was a part of it, and they had a few ugly scenes, but it was still a Disney movie. So it wasn't maybe as it wasn't as ugly on the screen as I'm sure it was in real life in Alexandria, Virginia in the early 70s. Okay. So, just a little bit of that, a little bit of the and they also like that defense. I looked up that defense. I think their state championship game, I think they make it look more dramatic than the actual game was. I think they gave up like 2 yards total for the whole game.
It's based on an actual true story?
Come on, Aslan. What are we doing here?
I thought it was a fictional account. That's why I haven't been too curious in seeing it.
You lived when that movie came out. You were a person on the planet. It's based on the real movie. A team that finished won the Virginia State Championship and finished second in the nation that year in the national championship rankings to Valdosta.
Oh, okay.
So
all right. I'll try to get to this weekend.
Sunshine was a real person. In fact, Tim Linefeld reminded me of this, that David Kelly, so Sunshine is the long blonde-haired quarterback that plays. He plays he eventually takes over the job.
No spoilers. Come on, Corey. Spoilers.
Sorry. Well, it's not much of a spoiler. But David Kelly coached him in college, apparently.
Oh.
Or in high school. Maybe he coached him in high school. But anyway, David Kelly has a connection to the guy that they called Sunshine.
Okay.
A real-life guy. Anyway, there's a little trivia, Aflac trivia for everyone.
All right, I'll talk to Unc at Media Day on Sunday and see if he can give me some information on that. All right, back to the questions. BC Knoll 16, a.k.a. Mr. 5 question. Wakey. I love you guys, he says. Love you too, man. Besides the up-tempo, what about this offense are you most excited about?
The receivers. I want to see them be able to make play. I want to see young receivers on the field and see what kind of plays they can make in space and over the top. I think there'll be more big plays. I guess that was 4 answers, but really the receivers to be general.
I'm excited to see how the offensive line performs. I think they're going to be really good run blocking. I think Cam, Kalen, and whoever is going to be touching the ball, Jacques, are going to have not massive gaping holes, but I just think they're going to have a pretty fun time running the ball this season. I just have a feeling about that. His second question is...
if there's massive gaping holes, they're going to have a fun time.
Oh. I know, man. Let's talk about being redundant. Number 2 question from BC Knoll 16. If you were stranded on a deserted island by yourself for a year and you could take up to 3 albums, What would you choose? BC Knowles 16 says he would take Turn Blue by the Black Keys, Bon Iver by Bon Iver, and Sound and Color by Alabama Shakes. But if Corey records his cover of one of Bryan Adams' albums, then I would definitely take that one in place of one of the others. Of course.
I would probably go. I think "Cuts Like a Knife" was the name of the album, but that's the song. That's the album that I would cover. Okay. Or maybe I would just do the Robin Hood soundtrack.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Because I think you had a couple on that, and then that's just a great soundtrack in general. I would say my 3 albums. I would do "The Wall" by Pink Floyd. I would do probably maybe "Full Moon Fever" by Tom Petty. And then a Beatles album, the White Album, maybe. I know those are kind of boring old white guy answers.
Seriously,
that's probably what I'd go.
Are you wearing pleated pants right now, Corey?
No, but I'm not.
I would say the Unwritten Law album, Unwritten Law's self-titled album. It's a little punk rock classic. Strung Out, Twisted by Design. That's another punk rock classic that you guys have never heard of. And
I don't understand any of the words that you're saying.
Yeah. Oh, can you not hear me, or you're making fun of the bands that I like?
I couldn't tell which one was the name of the band and which one was the name of the album. I don't even know if you've named a band yet.
That's how cool they are. Unwritten Law, and they had a self-titled album.
Okay.
And then Strung Out.
What was it called?
It's a self-titled album, Corey. Their name is Unwritten Law. Gosh, when you're clever and I don't get it, I feel so dumb and I hate myself. Stupid.
It's okay, buddy. You're all right.
And then the third album, I'm thinking I probably need something that would make me cry, but the Aslan Anger Index is running at like an 8.7. So I would say I'd probably take like Tupac, All Eyes on Me, because it's a double album. It would keep me company and it would fuel me to get up and get at him and start assembling a life raft or something like that.
Sure, okay, that makes sense. What about my album of singing Bryan Adams covers?
I'd probably swap out Strung Out's album for that one. That'd probably be the album that'd make me cry. Like I would just need, I would just need good cries every now and then. I would listen to your dulcet tones to put me in that right place, just to know that I felt human still.
I just like that if we're on a deserted island, we still have somehow access to electronics. Couldn't I just text someone and tell them where I am? Anyway.
Yeah. Next question. This comes from Megacolon. He joined on Sunday. Welcome to the fam.
Megacolon.
Not a semicolon. My favorite punctuation mark, but Megacolon. He says that he loves the podcast. Go Knowles. He says that he's enjoying the new energy Taggart is bringing to the team so far. The players seem to be having fun. There is definitely a fine line between being a player's coach and letting the players coach, though. Okay, that's interesting. Where would you guys draw the line with him being too lenient in his coaching style, and do you see this as a viable long-term strategy for Florida State University? I can picture this new style being ridiculed if we start losing games we should not.
Yeah, but yes, and that's 100% going to happen. The first loss, the second loss, and there will be losses. People are going to be like, well, maybe if they weren't dancing so much at practice, they'd be winning football games. Well, number one, we've been to practices. They don't dance. They don't have dance contests in the middle of a one-on-one drill with the DB. They might bob their heads as they're waiting in line, but it's not like they're not paying attention, and it's not like they're not trying. It looks to me, quite honestly, like every other football practice I've ever watched, except there's a soundtrack. There's music going. And when they make a big play, the whole side will go sprint with them and celebrate with them. Those are the only two main differences. But otherwise, it's a football practice. They're being yelled at. They're being coached hard. They're sweating a lot. They're working hard. I mean, it's what you'd expect. So, I mean, I don't know. It might be ridiculed, but again, that's just the way it is now, man. Every time somebody loses a game, it's a referendum on something. It's a referendum on the coaching style. It's a referendum on a number of different things. So the direction of the program. Just one loss or two losses. It's always a referendum. I think, man, we'll see. I think you give him I'm going to stress this repeatedly over the next 3 weeks and probably the next 3 or 4 months. Give him 20 to 25 games. Jimbo Fisher, after 20 games, was 12-8. He might have been 11-9. He was either 11-9 or 20-8, and he had just lost to Wake Forest on the road as a double-digit favorite. I mean, and it was his third loss in a row. And he was 11-9 against Power 5 teams his first 20 games. Give Willie Taggart 20 games. After those 20 games, Jimbo Fisher went 46-4. So just imagine all the people that were writing off Jimbo Fisher because of the first year and a half. You don't do it. Don't fall prey to that. I think Taggart has in fact, I know Taggart has a better roster than what Jimbo inherited, but it might take a few seasons before he gets this thing really, really rolling. But either way, I don't think he's a player's coach in the sense that he's buddy-buddy with them and laughing and joking all the time with them. But he does relate to them, and he's a human being to them. And it's not a dictatorship, in my opinion. It doesn't mean that he's ever going to get walked over. I just don't see that happening. And that's a good point. Letting the players coach and being a players coach, he's not going to do that, man. He's too strong. He's too strong a personality. He's got too much pride in himself to the point of I think he's probably a little cocky. I don't see how he would ever succumb to what the players want. Quite frankly, last year felt like the players were coaching the team.
Oh, all right. Maybe that's why they were so lousy. If they would let the guys getting paid millions coach, things would have been a little bit better.
It didn't seem like anybody else was really invested in coaching that team.
Yeah, I don't really know where I would draw the line. I guess I would say I'll draw the line at them stopping practice on game week to actually have a dance party. I would probably find that a little bit much. But from what we've seen, Willie does rein the team in if they. I mean, I've seen him, bark at guys, not in a bad way, not in a demeaning, break them down way, but I've seen him bark at guys when they're not lined up right, or he shows frustration when they're not able to go tempo in their beginning drills at the beginning of practice.
What's the maddest you've seen him in a practice so far this fall, this camp?
The same thing you saw.
Which was what?
When the two guys got into the little fight or whatever.
And who was the guy that he really screamed at, and told him to get off the field before he made him pick him up and walk him off, hold hands?
The guy that's no longer on the team.
There you go. He's not. I think that speaks volumes, right? The maddest we saw him, that guy's not here anymore. So It's not like he's going to let these guys just, do what they want and not have a backbone. That's not. I don't think Willie Taggart gets to this position in life by not having a backbone. He wants his players to have fun, but he also really wants to win, and he's not gonna tolerate tomfoolery. That's a good word. I don't use that word enough.
I will say this: the other day, and I'm not going to say any names, there was a player dancing between drills, and this was during fielding a kick, and he bumped into the other return man. And I didn't post it to the internet because I know if I posted it, people would lose their mind over it. But there is a little bit of a line where, I like having fun, I like the dancing and stuff, but I'm not trying to make a big deal out of it. But I told Ira when it happened just so we could get a laugh out of it. But that to me though, that's an anomaly. I mean, there's guys out there, bouncing around having fun in between drills, but like you say, it looks like a standard football practice. There just happens to be a soundtrack to it. But
right.
I just hedge myself.
Nooney Murray, I see what you're saying, but it's not like Nooney Murray comes out of a break instead of cutting hard to the right, he moonwalks towards the sideline and then breaks down and does a split and does a spin, and everybody goes, you know what I mean? They're right. Practicing football, but in between plays, again, they're not. I just don't see. They're not doing a lot of choreographed stuff. They're not doing anything really. They're just kind of bobbing their heads, just quite frankly, like I am. Just watching.
You have been, yeah.
And you saw that. You see how I bob my head.
I do, man.
All right. And I just have a natural rhythm. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
All right, let's take a break. Let's reset. We'll be right back after this. It's Wake Up War Chant.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Go! Go!
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. It's Wake Up War Chant. I'm Aslan. Corey's here, too. Let's get back to the questions. It's called Renegade Express. This is from Bimini Bound. Broad question, but what's the top thing each of you took away from IMG? And I don't mean physical objects from Holiday Inn or how ridiculous hot it was. Thanks, fellas. Keep up the great work.
What about you?
Top thing that I took away. What am I walking out of there thinking? Shoot. I don't know. Landon Dickerson's really good. Cam Akers is really good. Again, I think the guys that this team is Brian Burns, I guess maybe that. I'm believing in Brian Burns. That's what I'll take away from him because he looked unblockable every single time we saw him. So Burns for Lombardi or whatever he's up for as a defensive lineman.
Yeah, the Ted Hendricks Award maybe doesn't that go to the defensive end? Something like there's a million awards, so maybe he could be maybe he's eligible for that. Yeah, I would say that. I think the receivers are pretty good. It's a pretty talented group if they're all healthy. Did you know that I wrote this in the Nooney Murray story I wrote a couple days ago that DJ Matthews has 1 touchdown catch in his career. And other than Nooney Murray, who has like 10, nobody else on the receiving corps has a touchdown catch in their careers. So Nooney Murray has like 9 or 10. And the only other guy that has a touchdown catch on the roster as a receiver is DJ Matthews, and he had it against Louisiana Monroe in a meaningless game, or relatively meaningless. I can't imagine a Florida State receiving corps having this little real game experience going into a season, and yet I'm like excited about them.
Yeah. Great promise. They look good, man. There's a bunch of different weapons. They got a whole bunch of tools. They got fast guys, tall guys, fast tall guys, small guys, quick guys, small quick guys.
I would say Keyshawn Helton too, maybe, as a guy that certainly seems like he's going to be playing a lot as a freshman.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a coincidence he keeps getting brought up unsolicited about how well he's doing.
For sure. All right, this comes from Harley07. Hey guys, thanks for the hard work. You're welcome. I appreciate it. Thank you for the kind note. Corey, kudos on warning shot and tact with Coach Bell and Maryland. Posters, this is a second thought of his, posters talking about scoring 50. When was the last time anybody, all caps, put up 50 on a Bud Foster defense? Lastly, do we have 2 1,000-yard rushers in Akers and LeBourne?
I think if it's going to be 2, it would be Akers and Patrick. I just think that's going to be really hard to do. What was the other one?
When's the last time anybody put up 50 on a Bud Foster defense?
Has that happened? Right. I mean, even the Florida State National Championship team, I think that was 46, right? Against them in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's probably happened at some point in our lifetimes, but no, it doesn't happen a lot. I can't. And when was the last time Florida State scored 50? Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, especially in an opener, man. Especially in an opener, they're never.
Maybe game
strong.
6, buddy. But again, Virginia Tech's defense would be more experienced by then too. Yeah, I guess we could be surprised. Maybe they just score every time they get the ball.
Yeah. All right. How about PJ Lewis 1? He just joined on Saturday. Welcome to the fam. Man,
we're getting a lot of new subscribers.
It's that whole 2 football seasons for the price of 1 and the $50 gift card to Garnet and Gold, probably. If I had to say something.
And they know that you and I are on War Chant now, so the subscriptions are just going through the roof.
True. Guys, I really appreciate all y'all do. I'm new to War Chant, but have been listening to the podcast for a few months, and I have also gotten some family on it as well. Thank you. Truly, that's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, that really is. Thank you for saying all these people are being very nice, Aslan.
Yeah.
This is my favorite Renegade Express ever.
Yeah. PJ Lewis 1 goes on to say, I work 80-hour weeks, and y'all definitely help me get through those tough mornings. I've heard you all mention Valdosta a few times, which is where I live. I graduated with Telvin Smith and had some good times and stories with him as well as Greg Reed. With that being said, have you all ever considered bringing old players on the show to relive big games? Also, is there an update on the standalone facility? Thanks, guys.
Well, the update is, and you're welcome, the update, I guess, is that they feel pretty good that they're moving forward with it, that it will be announced. It could be announced sometime very soon, that they've got the funding and they know what they're going to put it. I think they know where they're going to put it. It's just a matter of when they announce it. But, yes, I would be stunned. I would be more stunned at them not having a standalone football facility in the next year or two than I would be if Bailey Hockman was the starter.
Okay. That's strong, man.
So that should tell you my confidence level.
Did you see Alabama? Did you see Alabama starting a fundraising campaign for something like $500 million for their sports?
$600 million. Yeah,
600
million in 10 years, over 10 years. The
Good
bubble's
Lord.
bursting, folks. I know I keep saying it. It's bursting. Nick Saban ain't coaching at Alabama forever. It's going to be diminishing returns. You're not going to get your money's worth. But they don't pay the players, so they got to put the money in something. Right. Meanwhile, maybe your roads, maybe education, your life expectancy.
No ROI.
There's not a lot of great. I'm not taking a shot at Alabama. I grew up in Georgia, which has a lot of really poor areas too. But man, it just seems like, and I know what I do for a living, so it's pretty hypocritical. But man, it seems like we could spend more money on more important things than making sure all the Alabama football players get to live in a Taj Mahal. Yeah. That anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we can bring some guys. This is my thing about bringing ex-players onto the show. I'd rather do it in terms of what PJ is saying here with having them relive big games. I don't want to bring a guy who played on the team in 2004 and ask him what's going on with this team, because you just don't know. When you're not in the locker room, you don't know anymore. But I don't have any problem doing like a throwback Thursday or a flashback Friday and bringing somebody on. Like, I think Greg Reed would be probably pretty awesome because he'd probably give it to you raw and real. So yeah, that's something we could maybe look into.
And by the way, was his name PJ?
Yeah, PJ Lewis 1.
I lived in Valdosta for a year. I was the sports editor at the newspaper there. I think 2000 or 2001. So when Stephen Drew's baseball team won the state championship, I was the sports editor that year. The football team didn't do all that well, actually. Neither Lowndes nor Valdosta did all that well that year. But then Lowndes became a state power as soon as I left.
Cool.
So there you go, little Corey Clark trivia for you.
There you go. All right, DUNLA. It's like Dunlap without a P, so I don't know how to pronounce it. Dunla 402 says, "What up, boys? Taggart has done everything perfect up until this point, but will he make a gigantic mistake? In my opinion, Dunla's opinion, not Aslan's opinion. Will he make a gigantic mistake Labor Day night and have the team wear black uniforms?" Sounded like it. I mean, when we talked to Brian Burns and him at the ACC kickoff, it sounded like it was going to happen. So brace yourself. I don't think it's a gigantic mistake. I'd rather them not, but it's a new era, everybody. It's a new era. Get aboard. Choo choo.
Yeah, I think maybe what could worry some folks is like, hey man, it's your very first game and you're doing this. This isn't Oregon. Like
right.
Maybe we don't change uniforms that much here because we got a really cool one. We got like a badass helmet. The color combination is pretty cool. All of it. It would seem odd for your very first game to do that. But hey, man, it's not the end of the world either. I don't get too caught up in that. I would just like, it's hard sometimes. You're watching these basketball games or football games. You don't know who's who. Am I right, Aslan? Am I that old man, get off my lawn guy? Like, you see the Notre Dame stuff, what they're going to do when they play at Yankee Stadium, that uniform?
Yeah.
Like, come on, man, you're Notre Dame. Just be Notre Dame. It's awesome. Your history and tradition's cool. The people go there for the history and tradition, not for some new matte helmet that they're going to wear once in the Bronx. Anyway,
I kind of like it. I don't want to see Florida State wear all black because black's not even in our color palette. I think the Notre Dame stuff actually looks pretty cool. They've got pinstripes on their shoulder pads trying to incorporate Yankees because they're playing in their house. But
it's just a money grab, man. Yeah. It's just a money grab. It's just these shoe companies tell them what to do. They do it, and they get a nice check, and then they can sell some merchandise.
I will say this,
so
though.
That's fine. Go buy your black Florida State jerseys.
I'm probably more on board with all black unis than I am all garnet. Again, I just can't stress it enough.
That's crazy.
All garnet
is
crazy
to me.
That's just all garnet's not.
That's the dumbest thing you've said on the show, and you say a lot of dumb things. So that's crazy.
Corey, apologize. People aren't thinking that you're joking around. They think you're being serious. Being nice.
Oh, no, I'm being 100% serious. I think they're all nodding their heads, too.
Yeah.
I like that garnet on garnet look, man. That's crazy. A lot of good moments in that, too. Yeah. There's been no good moments in Florida State history in all black.
What are you talking about?
Hey, we lost to Boston College in all black. Wasn't that fun? We had a blackout, and Drew Weatherford threw a pick six on the last play of the half. You remember that?
All right. Last question, then we got to get a break. Ricky Baby, wake up! I know that you both said that it would be shocking if Bailey Hawkman started the season, but how shocked would you be if you started out as the outright second stringer, or rather if he started out as the outright second stringer? Can you remember a time where a quarterback went from starter to third stringer? It seems like James Blackman could do that this year. This is a really unique quarterback race.
I think Weatherford might have in 08, right? Like he came back for that was his senior year was 08, and it was Ponder, and then it was Devontre Richardson, and Weatherford was third string. But no, to the point, it doesn't happen a lot. And again, obviously I wouldn't be as stunned, but I would be pretty surprised if either Blackman or Francois is third string.
Yeah, for sure. Rookie Baby also adds, side note, great song choices each day, but Bone Thugs and Harmony's first of the month should be thrown in the mix one time. It goes up with the Wake Up theme. Rookie Baby, you must be new to the program. Check out March or April or May, like May 1st, March 1st, April 1st show. I can almost guarantee you that we did play Bone Thugs and Harmony first of the month. But
there you go, buddy.
Thanks for the feedback. We're on top of these things. Let's step aside. Let's do a reset, and then let's see if we can blow through the rest of these questions so we can go live another life outside of the radio show. Although this is a fun part of my life. But let's get back to it after this.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Wake up. Welcome back. It's Wake Up War Chant. I'm Aslan. He's Corey. I'm not bringing the juice today because I'm sitting in my mother's dining room recording this program. I just don't like
actually
being
sitting in my mom's living room.
Really?
Yeah.
Look at
weird.
that. Yeah.
That's weird, isn't it?
Power to the mothers, man. Power to the mothers. I'll bring the fire next week when I'm back in my habitat, or maybe Corey and I can find a Holiday Inn in Tallahassee and recreate the magic from earlier in this week. Don't forget, folks, Fan Day is going to be Sunday, also my birthday, so feel free to shake my hand, bring something to autograph. I'll sign it. And I think is it 2 o'clock at the Civic Center, Corey? Or should I look that up on my phone while you...
I feel like you should look that up. I thought it was 11 o'clock. So that's a very, very wide disparity in times.
That's a
but
very
people,
early
if you want to
fan
go,
day.
you look it up too.
It's a very early Fan Day, brother. How come I just can't type in Fan Day in my freaking phone and find it? Man, I'm doing a really bad job today on this radio show. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm trying, but I'm just struggling here. To 2018, doors open at 12. The event will run from 1 to 3 p.m. There we go.
Oh, all right, okay.
That's what Google says. Seminoles.com.
1 to 3. Okay.
1 to 3. 1 to 3. August 19th, Sunday. It's my birthday. Shout out to everybody. If you don't like me, show up to Fan Day. I'll probably be there. We can talk about things, everybody. Also, let's get back to the questions. This is Tennis Ump. Thanks, guys, for your shows every morning. I would love to hear a question to Willie regarding the Redshirt rule and the various strategies and play for getting players some playing time while not burning a year. Also, he adds that, yes, I did umpire McEnroe and all the others from that era onwards, did the Grand Slam, including about 21 U.S. Opens, predominantly as a chair umpire, meaning the guy in the tall chair, not one of the linesmen. Look at that! Look at that!
Really?
Yeah.
He's obviously a War Chant subscriber.
Yeah, Tennis Ump. Remember, I was like, I wonder if he's ever umped a match with John McEnroe. Yeah, he has.
That's
21
really
U.S.
cool.
Opens.
Wow, or 21 majors is what he said, right?
About 21 U.S. Opens, he says. Yeah.
Good grief! How awesome is that?
Well,
That's really cool.
I'm sure mostly, Wimbledon's probably mostly English. Umps.
Right,
I'm
makes
sure
sense.
Australian Open.
Yeah, that's why it was confusing. But yeah, no, that makes sense. Man, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's a lot cooler than what we're talking about.
For sure. But Tennis Ump, actually, I did see this, and I did ask Willie on Thursday, or maybe I didn't ask him. I shouldn't take credit for that, but somebody did ask him. I apologize. I think Kurt Weiler from the Democrat asked him about the Redshirt rule, if it changes his approach. He kind of said that it really doesn't because they're not in a rush to put players out there that aren't ready. But, I mean, I find it hard to believe that it's not going to affect him and every other coach in major Division I football. The fact, Jalen Hurts, Alabama could technically use Jalen Hurts in 4 games this upcoming season and keep Tua Tagovailoa as their starting quarterback, and Jalen Hurts can peace out and transfer and not have lost a year of eligibility. So everybody's going to be taking advantage of it, I would imagine. Yeah,
and I think at the end of the year too is like I think somebody asked this about if Francois would have played in the Peach Bowl with this new rule.
That was me.
And the answer is, of course, yes. So I think there will definitely be later in the year, those last 3 games, last 3 or 4 games, where I think a lot of kids will get on the field that maybe they would have hesitated, even if it's for 4 plays, even if it's for just a couple of plays as a backup because somebody got hurt. You're not worrying about burning a red shirt, and you're gonna okay, instead of getting, go out there, And I think that's a cool thing, man. I think it's something they quite frankly should have always done.
Yeah. Okay, next question. T. Smith 1790. Morning or evening, guys. Corey, the T is for Tim, not Terrence, but good guess.
Okay.
He's got a question about the role of the GA, the graduate assistant, and the quality control folks. What do they actually play in practice? Do you guys know if they are assigned to work with a specific position or under a specific coach to where they give notes and feedback to that coach as to what they see in practice, or are they really just picking up balls and moving cones around? They have actual managers who do that stuff, the more menial tasks. The GAs and quality control guys, for example, the other day, Xavier Peters, who is from Ohio, and it was sort of the last guy to arrive on campus from the recruiting class. He was 3 or 4 days behind, so he's been getting acclimated. And while the defensive linemen, and mainly the defensive ends, were going through drills and pads, he kind of would do a few reps with them, but when they would move to another station, he would stay behind, and there was a specific young man talking to him, which I assume is probably Mark Snyder or Harlan Barnett's overall GA or one of the quality control guys for that side of the ball or that position. So I don't know if it's to a point where every position coach has a quality control guy. It could be, but yeah, those guys do help out way more than moving around equipment, if you will.
Yeah, they're not they're not glorified water boys. They're out there coaching and coaching a lot, quite frankly, because especially an offensive line. There's 16 of them.
Yeah.
So there's even while Greg Fry is yelling at coaching the guys that are going through the actual drill, there's a GA that's talking to someone off to the side or explaining something to him while he's waiting his turn. I mean, that's going on all over the field in every segment group.
Yep. All right, next question comes from Maxwell Gibbs, a.k.a. Gibby. Wake up, he says. His question this week is, why not have the LSU game be in Miami at Doak South? Does Miami, being a tenant there, not allow Florida State to play a neutral site game there? But we all know every other year Florida State plays one against the Hurricanes at Doak South. This is a friendly reminder the Canes have not beaten Florida State University in Dade County since 2004. Another reason why FSU runs the 305.
Right.
Thanks, Gibby.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a neutral site game. They don't really have neutral site games on schools' actual stadiums, do they?
I can't think of one. No.
They're all Atlanta or Dallas or
Houston. Yeah.
Orlando. Because they're not having it at Central Florida Stadium.
Right.
So no, I'm sure Miami would be absolutely against that. For Florida State to use their stadium as a home stadium. Yeah. So I don't think that was even a remote possibility.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Knoll fan number 1, wake up! I'm just saying that because they type it, Corey. I have to say it, right?
No, I got it, man. It's got to be hard on the throat after a while.
It's all caps, and there's 4 exclamation marks, so I guess I have to.
Right.
They say that they love the show, guys. Corey, you could be the best columnist in the biz, and Aslan, you have gone from good to great after you quoted the other guys last week. My man. Tell you, it's a good movie,
That's right.
everybody.
The Fly Like a Peacock or whatever that line was.
Yeah. Got to let me spread my wings and fly on this one.
Yep.
All right. Do you think FSU would have 2 running backs that have 1,500 all-purpose yards this year? Ingram and Kamara did for the Saints last year, or more likely they'll have 3 rushers over 900 yards. Also, he adds, when Tamorian Terry does become a Hall of Famer, Tom Block should change his name to Doubter.
For sure. Or Tamorian Block.
Yeah.
He has to change his first name to Tamorian Block.
Knoll fan number 1, I don't know, man. I don't see either happening. 1,500 all-purpose yards, that's a lot for 2 guys, and 3 backs with over 900 yards. I mean,
there's no way that's happening.
Yeah.
I just think I think LeBourne is a really good player. I think people are so excited about what they saw in the spring game that they're not really thinking about what Patrick brings. And I think Willie Taggart, he had a long talk with Jock in the offseason during bowl practices about coming back for his senior year. He put him in touch with Royce Freeman at Oregon, who had come back for an extra year or for a year when he didn't have to. I think Willie Taggart really appreciates that Patrick came back. It is really going to depend on him this year. I don't think he's an afterthought like he is kind of with the Florida State fan base. I think that guy is going to put up a lot of yards and be a big part of the offense. And LeBourne is going to be, in my opinion, I could be 100% wrong. I'm saying it now. I'm second-guessing myself already. LeBourne is going to be a guy that maybe gets 6 or 8 carries a game, maybe. Patrick and Akers are the two guys, in my opinion.
All right, here we go. Eskimo Randy. Hey, Aslan and Corey/Ira. Love the show. Keep up the great work. Thanks, Randy. Golly, thanks, everybody. I feel really
Ira
good.
doesn't deserve your praise. What is he on this show, once a month? Anyway,
Be
sorry.
nice. He says that we make the morning commute in Atlanta much easier. We try. I can't imagine doing that every single day. I mean, that's just got to be misery.
It's awful. It is. Any time of day in Atlanta is just mind-rackingly frustrating.
Yeah, God bless you. All right. Eskimo Randy was wondering if after observing a week or two of camp, if we have gotten a better sense of what Mickey Andrews' role on the team is going to be.
Not really, because he wasn't at IMG.
Correct.
I guess he had some stuff that he had to get squared still in Tallahassee, and he couldn't leave for that extended amount of time. But he is out there. He is, I think he's writing down stuff. Quite frankly, it kind of reminds me of Bowden during a game. Like, I think what he does is he writes down things he notices. I don't think he's not a guy that's going to get in their way. He understands coach-player relationship, and he probably even sees himself still as a bit of an outsider because he's not on the coaching staff, and I think he respects that, and he doesn't want to be a guy that, just because he's Mickey Andrews and should have many things named after him around here and doesn't, that he's going to go in there and say, this is how you got to do this. He's not going to be the big voice in that room, but I do think he will give suggestions to Harlan Barnett. I think he'll give suggestions to Odell, all of them, and he is watching attentively. And I think that's his role, is kind of, if he sees something, he'll go over and probably talk to a coach and say, hey, I just saw this. This guy's doing this when he's in his back pedal, or he's not trying. He's loafing too much. You need to get on. Whatever he's going to have suggestions, but I don't think he's going to be a big booming voice that obviously he was when he was the DC here.
Yeah, I mean, you see him walking around practice with, you just got a piece of paper tucked in his waistband, and it's I think it's the schedule of practice in terms of what period they're doing what exercises at. But I think to Corey's point, I mean, you nailed it, Corey. I just think it's the fog of war kind of a thing with the coaches kind of always being so dead focused on everything they're doing and so hyper focused that a guy like Mickey probably just gives them a bigger picture sort of observation that, things that, might seem obvious to people that are watching maybe always aren't that obvious. It's, missing the forest amongst the trees or whatever it says. I think that's where Mickey kind of comes in, that sort of, that pair of eyes that's, neutral in everything that's going on. So we got about 7 minutes. Let's see how much we can crank into here. Let's go hurry up, no huddle, up tempo. Turbo is what they call it, Corey. So that can save me all those words of saying turbo. So folks, when we say turbo, that means hurry up, no huddle. So let's do it. Get Down Black pretty much says, thanks, Get Down Black. First of all, he says, hey, guys, wake up. He tried tagging us and a couple of coaches in Twitter about turnover celebrations. He thinks that they need to have 3 spears, and they have different locations on the sideline. So you run to the closest corner pretty much of the stadium after a turnover, and then you grab the spear, you yell, and you throw it down. That'd be pretty cool. I don't know how practical it is, but that'd be pretty cool.
I don't think you need 3. It's not like they had 3 turnover chains or 3 whiteboards, right? Whatever Florida State did last year. But just have 1. Yeah, man, I like that idea a lot. And pick it up and maybe put so the spear starts with what do they put on that spear? Is it feathers?
Yeah.
Okay, so the spear starts with 0 feathers on it for Virginia Tech. And then the first turnover, you tape a little sticker tape a little feather to it.
Okay.
And then you slam it in the ground. And then by the Florida game, that thing should be decorated with feathers everywhere.
That's there you go, Corey. There we go.
Hey, man, I think we just did it.
All
I think we just did it, gang.
Okay.
I'm actually texting Willie right now to tell him what his turnover celebration is going to be.
All right, here we go. We got Thibodeau 12, Tibido. Thibodeau, yeah. I'm calling him Thibodeau 12. He says, morning, fellas. He says he's been listening to Wake Up War Chant since its birth. You guys are doing a fantastic job. Keep it up. Thank you. Again.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you, everybody, for real. 2 inquiries he has. Basically, he's asking if we're privy to the multi-year contract between IMG and Florida State. I don't know how many years it is. I guess I'm assuming it's 2 years. I was asking Ira. That was his sort of assumption. But yeah, maybe we'll be able to get some more details after the whole Freedom of Information Act stuff comes through.
Yeah, I mean, it's been requested, so as soon as I'm sure we'll get that at some point. Who knows when? It takes a while sometimes for those things, but we'll find out. There's obviously got to be some sort of financial deal in place, I would think, but who knows?
But basically, he was asking if there's any sort of language in the contract that prevents another university from doing what Florida State's doing. We don't know, but we should hopefully find out when we get that sort of stuff, given to us.
I feel like it should be like an exclusive agreement.
Yeah, I would think so.
Otherwise, Florida State will take their next. They'll go the next week to whatever IMG's rival is.
Don Bosco Prep.
Like the Bulls. Go to Bulls in Jacksonville.
The second question was, on Tuesday's show, we had mentioned that DeAndre Francois and Jonathan Isaac both had large murals up at IMG. Are they the only two, or are there others? If there are, who are they? I don't know.
I don't know. They had a girl that was running track, right?
Yep, correct. And they also had a
pitcher.
There was a lacrosse guy as well.
Yeah. So I'm sure they're all really good at their respective sports, but no, there was like 6 or 8 sports represented up there.
All right, here we go. Up tempo, no huddle. Seminole Nation 1474. Wake up, lowercase to help save your voice, Aslan. Thank you. Tim in Indiana. Watching the recent practice videos, it looks to me like DeAndre holds the ball a little higher than Blackman or Hockman before he throws it, giving him a quicker release. Have you noticed this? I haven't. I'll go back and look at it. DeAndre just has a better motion than James.
I've noticed he has a quicker release.
Yeah.
It just comes out of his hand a little quicker.
Right. How important do you think the quick release will be in this offense, and could that be what gives him the edge? Keep up the great work. Corey, Ira won't say it, but I will. I love you too.
See, thanks, man. Yeah, Ira won't ever say it. It's weird. I text it to him a lot, and I never get a response. Sometimes he'll text back ditto, but he'll never just say the words.
Yeah. It could be. I mean, the quick release. I mean, this. A lot of the offense is this quick screen game thing, so that definitely could be maybe one of the deciding factors. I'm sure. I think Willie will probably be pretty transparent with us when he does make a decision on who the starting quarterback is going to be and why he picked who he picked.
And the biggest thing, quite frankly, is, in my opinion, it's decision making and accuracy. I mean, that's all that in this offense. Well, really in every offense, that's what a quarterback has to do: make good decisions. And when you do make your decisions, throw a catchable ball.
There you go. Piece of cake. Mark Rudd asks, will we ever see Florida State play a Power 5 team in Doak other than the one that are already locked in? Could Nole fans ever get to host Ohio State, Michigan, Nebraska, LSU, or will we just continue to pick up out-of-conference games that aren't part of our season packages?
I think it's coming, man. I think you watch like what Clemson and LSU did, and I think Clemson's going to do it with Georgia too, with the home and home, and I think Alabama's going to start doing some home and homes. I think that's kind of the wave, and hopefully Florida State will do that too, because it would be cool for those schools to come play at Florida State.
I hope so. I just don't think so. I just think
not in Jerry's world. You know what I mean?
I mean, I just think that they'd rather get $5 million than have $3 million of economic impact. I mean, I'm not saying it's a zero-sum sort of game, but ultimately I think they're going to always choose to do those kickoff classic games because you're going to get $5 million. So I just think that's what's going to happen. All right, let's see if we can go through these really quickly. Knock, knock. Housekeeping. Want me to fluff pillow? Wake up, gents. Couple of questions. It's from the Navy, Noel. Are there any games this year that concern you based on how the schedule falls? Example, short week versus Samford, back-to-back weeks versus Miami and Notre Dame, etc. Yeah, that's tough.
It's not Miami Notre Dame, right? Isn't it Louisville Miami?
Well,
I think it's NC State Notre Dame. And those, quite frankly, I don't think those are trap games because of where they are on the schedule. I just think they're going to be tough games. All the ones not Samford, but all the other ones we just mentioned, I think are going to be trap games. They're going to be hard.
Yeah,
all of them.
Notre Dame is actually sandwiched between NC State and Boston College.
Maybe Boston College, which you wouldn't think that Florida State could take a team lightly that they just lost to 35-3. Mm-hmm. But say if they and I shouldn't say somehow, but say they win at Raleigh and at South Bend, and then come home for Boston College, I could see that being a really tough game.
Yeah, all right,
a game where they might kind of overlook a little bit.
All right, I see the light.
Where it is on the schedule.
I see light at the end of the tunnel, Corey. Let's see if we can squeeze these in here.
Okay, here we go.
Navy Noel says he has been watching Last Chance U. He and his wife love it. Were there any similarities between Buddy Stevens, the guy from East Mississippi, and Jimbo? Why or why not?
Man, probably. I mean, they and same with the guy in this new one. They kind of lose their mind. They're not real nice people on the practice fields. And then afterwards, I think sometimes they feel bad about what they said. Sometimes, and we'll have a conversation and kind of a caring conversation. But when they're on the practice field or on the sideline in the game, they so don't care about your feelings that they will say almost anything, almost sometimes to hurt. And I think that's just common with, I shouldn't say with coaches, but that's part of how this generation, the guys in their 40s and 50s, I think that's how they grew up playing football. And so that's what they know. And there are similarities. I think I could not stand Buddy Stevens. I thought he was a terrible person, and I wouldn't have watched it again if they went back to that guy. So I think Jimbo's a better guy than Buddy Stevens. So take that for what it's worth.
All right. Nolan Dixie, wake up, fellows. My question is for both of you guys. Who does not get their single-digit number back?
Oh man, I can't. I don't want to predict that. You go ahead, Aslan. You're a guy that doesn't care about making enemies.
Timeout. I'm going Zach Morris, Saved by the Bell style. We actually had technical difficulties at this exact juncture in the program, which kind of works out pretty favorably for us because we went to talk about, okay, who's going to be the player most likely to potentially not get their single digit back. So I went on Seminoles.com, pulled up last year's roster, but it wasn't accurate. There's a whole bunch of players missing that did wear single digits. Corey and I start arguing about it. It was kind of funny, but it was more sad because I was totally wrong and Corey was right about a lot of players. So in the meantime, I went ahead and Googled 2017 Florida State roster, and where does it lead me to? Literally, warchant.com, where our own Gene Williams, happy belated birthday, boss, last year puts in every single player one by one meticulously on this list, so it's pretty cool. With that said, I mean, here are the guys that had single digits from last year that are returning this year. James Blackman, Levante Taylor, Cam Akers, Kalen LeBourne, Dontavius Jackson, Trey McKitty, Nyquan Murray, and Stanford Samuels III. Also, Jock Patrick. Now, there's no way Jock Patrick doesn't get his single digit back. You don't return for your senior year and not start and then also get the indignity of not getting the jersey number you want. Nooney went ahead and nipped this in the bud and went ahead and said, I'll just take 80. Stanford Samuels III is moving positions and his father's on staff. I don't know how well that would play, but he could be a dark horse potentially. Trey McKitty, he's been running with the ones. He's most likely your projected starting tight end. It would be hard to see him starting and not being a dude and getting a single digit. Dontavius Jackson, I don't know where the linebacking core stacks up currently right now. We don't really know who the three guys are going to roll with. It seems like DeKalen and Jaden would be maybe or kind of penciled in. I don't know who the third guy is. Is it Adonis? Is it Dontavius Jackson? It could be Emmett Rice maybe coming out of nowhere. So I guess I would maybe say Dontavius Jackson would be the most likely guy to not get a single digit back. There's also Kalen LeBourne. He could be a guy potentially that doesn't maybe get it back. I don't know. Could James Blackman, if James Blackman doesn't win the starting quarterback job, which it sounds like potentially he could be losing any sort of grasp that he had on it, would really compound things and be like, all right, you're not a starter and you're not dude enough to even get your number one back. Or maybe just that's the tough love sort of thing. I don't know. That seems a little hard to sort of digest. I guess I would say D-Jack, only for maybe one game. And then Dontavius Jackson goes out and is a tackling machine in game one and then gets a single digit back. So that would be my guess. Corey was Switzerland, didn't want to say anything. And that's how we wrapped up the show. So we're done. Seminole Uprising is playing. Have a great weekend, everybody. Fan Day is Sunday at 1 o'clock. Maybe we'll see you there. Have a great one, everybody, if you want to.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.